Okay, well, let's bring the Thursday, October 5th, 2023 Webster Town Board meeting to order. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sally, can you do roll call, please? Here.
Here. Present. Here. Here.
Okay, our first order of business tonight is a public hearing to consider a special use permit for the installation of a rooftop microcell telecommunications facility at 900-965 Cherry Ridge Boulevard. Now, this, well, first of all, when I open the public hearing, anybody that would like to take the podium to speak about this can do so. And then, once that is done, we'll close the public hearing and have a discussion, I guess, amongst the board. If there's any discussion done. I just want to make sure sequentially. Josh, is this about prior to forwarding it to the planning board?
No, that has already occurred. This is the public hearing that must take place prior to the town board issuing the special use permit.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak for or against or anything about this? I know we have a gentleman here, Jeff, is it Twitty?
Correct, yes.
From Nixon Peabody, who I think is representing Verizon on this.
Correct.
By all means, if you'd like to make any statements about it,
Sure.
it's your prerogative. You don't have to.
I guess
I'll introduce myself for the record. Jeff Twitty, attorney with Nixon Peabody, here tonight on behalf of Verizon Wireless, and exactly what the town planner, I believe, said. That's accurate. We're here tonight to hopefully receive a special use permit, and I believe that we also need a secret determination as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions that may come from this public hearing. Thank you.
I can give you some information. You had asked me before about seeker. And it turns out that the town board, I don't know, it's the planning board town, this has been determined to be a type 2.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, in the absence of anybody else wanting to speak on this, I'm going to close the public hearing. And my first question is, Attorney Genesi, are we in a position to make a resolution and vote on this tonight, or does seeker, the lead agency has been set, or has the determination also
The
been
determination's already been made. It's a type 2.
Okay.
In other words,
Short form.
determination of no significant impact.
Right. Okay.
That's been done, and planning board did review it, and on September the 5th sent recommendations, positive to the town board. So that's up to the board. Yeah, you can go ahead if you want.
I will say this, our most recent cell facility, it was a tower, and it was down on Pellet and Lake Road a couple years ago. It was a pretty robust back and forth in meetings and whatever. We learned from that experience, and we reached out to Verizon and Nixon Peabody. I think you're the partner there that you work with is Rob. And we got together with Josh Artuso, and we said, hey, look, Verizon, let's get ahead of this. Instead of being in a reactive position as a town, you guys come out of the blue and say, hey, we're going to put a tower there. Why don't you tell us where you think you have coverage problems in town, and maybe we can assist you in pointing out certain places that might be the least invasive to, being around other residential properties and this and that. And they've been great working with us on that, and this is actually the first iteration of this. And I know that they went to Cherry Ridge, and actually the residents there are, I think, pretty excited about this, because I guess there's some cell coverage issues at Cherry Ridge. I don't spend a lot of time there, but that's what I've heard. So that's a little background for the board. But with that, what are your feelings about? Okay, Charlie. Okay, well, we're about to find out. I'm going to make a motion to issue a special use permit for the installation of a rooftop micro cell telecommunications facility at 900-965 Cherry Ridge Boulevard.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn? Aye. Councilwoman McCollum? Aye. Councilman Adams?
I need to amend the motion to say that it's a type 2 action under seeker, a negative deck for that action.
And I think you're saying aye to that.
I'm saying aye to that amendment.
Yeah. That's 5. Are we done? Or was it 1? That was it. Okay, what are we gonna do in 3 months when Bill is not on the board and he saves me every time on that technicality, doesn't he? Bill, I'm gonna have to bring you to these board meetings to remind me of that.
No, thank you, not happening.
I think that's a little Post-it note.
I know, I'm gonna just, yeah, we'll put the sign up on the door that says, sign in here, and also don't forget type 2 seeker on some of these things, right? For the resolution. Okay, well, I will say, that was a very different experience than Pellet and Lake Road a few years ago, huh? Very nice. Did you enjoy that, Josh? Yes. All right, next up tonight is the open to the floor, where each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes to talk about anything they'd like. And tonight, we had one person sign in, and it's George Glessner. George is a board member at Nequals, but I don't know if maybe he's up to talk about the fall foliage or what he's about to talk about. But have at it, George.
Good evening. My name is George Glessner. I live in the town of Webster, and I volunteer as a member of the Nequals Board of Directors. I have been asked to read this statement tonight on behalf of the Nequals Board of Directors in response to a tremendous amount of misinformation and half-truths being circulated in social media and presented by or to this town board. This has led to some town board members making the incorrect assumption that NEQ is no longer a viable Webster business and can no longer provide EMS services in Webster. I can assure you, NEQ remains a reliable, capable, patient, and community-focused service organization. NEQ ALS remains a viable business in the town of Webster, as it has been for the past 35 years. It has been expressed by the board that we did not provide data when requested. That is not accurate. Some of the data we are asked to provide to this board, such as audits, financial reports, call data, payer mix, etc., is often not generated by NEQ. We rely on outside resources such as our accountants, auditors, billing companies, and consultants to generate this data. This practice ensures that the town receives accurate and non-biased data. This is often presented to the public by the board as Niqual's being unwilling to provide data. This is not true. We continue to provide data to the town board. At the town's request, we have even provided, without complaint, the same data multiple times, all the while hearing the town board say we are not providing data. Finance Director Adams has even had access to our QuickBooks files and our payroll records. We have been far more transparent than any other company that this town does business with. Has any other EMS agency provided their financial data, audits, payer mix data, or given the town board access to their financial files? It has been said or inferred to the public by this town board that the non-disclosure agreement was not necessary. The NDA was put in place to protect NEQALS and its staff. It has been said many times by the town board that EMS is a business because other businesses are our competitors, and as we now see, not all act in the best interest of the EMS industry and the patients they serve, but instead in their own interest. We needed to protect our proprietary information from being shared. The fact that information has been shared with the competition seems to prove our point. I would like to ask each board member to review and understand the audit reports and financial data as they can make their own assessment of NEQ and the assistance we need. It shows that even though the healthcare industry in general, and EMS in particular, are very underfunded and under extreme financial stress, NEQ is being managed well, and the citizens of the town are being served by the Webster-based EMS agency. You must appreciate how hard it is to run a business with such tight cash flow. The NEQ board has worked tirelessly to ensure that we are as efficient with our funds as possible. To find some middle ground in the negotiations to keep a Webster business that has provided services in the town of Webster for 35 years in operation, we have submitted 2 proposals. Mike Pope, Board Vice President, has taken the lead on these negotiations. NEQALS Chief Matt Lloyd continues to oversee the day-to-day operations of our business. There is time to get this train back on track and return to the collaborative relationship with NEQALS, a Webster-based EMS agency, providing high-level service to its neighbors, family, and friends in the town of Webster. With proper and reasonable support, NEQ can continue to work together with this town board to ensure the citizens of and the visitors to the town of Webster are protected by a Webster-based EMS system. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
George.
Okay, next up tonight, Dolly is, as usual, on her game, right up to date on board minutes. We have 2 to consider for approval. I've reviewed the regular board meeting of Thursday, September 21st, 2023's minutes, and I make a motion to approve them.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli. Aye. Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood. Aye.
And I've reviewed the town board workshops minutes from last week, September 28th, and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Capelli.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Bill, is it you?
Yep. I reviewed the bills this week as submitted by the Director of Finance and found them in order and recommend that we authorize them to be paid.
Second.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. And I have reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Right.
Councilwoman Capelli.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
And I make a motion to approve the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman
All right, before we get to the next two resolutions, they both pertain to the Coke Fairlight project on Tibor Road. The Coke Fairlight team has a presentation that they would like to do. And I will say, I think it's a derivation of the presentation that you've done to the planning board and the zoning board, and it's very informative, and I'm happy that you guys were willing to do this for the town board. So, Dave, I'll hand the baton to you.
Thank you, Supervisor Flaherty, and we appreciate the opportunity to present in front of the town board tonight. My name is David Mann. I'm with the Coca-Cola Company as Senior Director of Supply Chain Strategy. I'm joined with Scott and with Marie from Haskell. Just given that there's two mics, we're going to take turns coming up and presenting. What we wanted to share tonight was a little bit of an update on our project, provide an overview of the site, some of the design elements for the mitigation to neighbors and the local community, and then provide some information on our fill and excavation timeline. So it was 5 short months ago, we appeared in front of the town board with the sketch plan review. We had made a public announcement for our new production facility. After an intensive multi-state site selection search that spanned over 10 months, we came to Webster for several reasons, particularly for the favorable dairy environment, for the local workforce and experience in manufacturing, for the characteristics of the Tibor Road land parcel and proximity to the roadways here in New York and in the Northeast, the available utilities, including the wastewater facility, the approval timeline, and then most importantly, the town board and town staff's capability to manage a large-scale project. And since May, we followed a pretty rigorous process with the town and with the 3 local boards, submitting over 20 documents, including thousands of pages of information with those documents, and responding to over 200 comments from the town, county, and state level agencies, including the New York DEC, MCDOT, NY DOT, Monroe County Health Department, among many others. So definitely the town put us through the paces over the last 5 months and brought us to a culmination of what we'll present tonight. In terms of just a summary of the key meetings since the public announcement back in May, we've met largely with this board, with the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. We've also met with the neighbors that surround the Tibor Road property twice. First, just sharing our engineering plans and hearing their concerns, and then following up a couple months later to address some of their concerns, having done several of our studies, which we'll share tonight, and incorporating some of the feedback that we heard in those meetings. Also met with the Webster community, with the construction community, and then again, as we went through the submittals and applications, provided updates and shared information with each of the boards. So that brings us to tonight. We want to share some of the updates that we gave the planning board and the ZBA on some of the design elements of our facility and some of the feedback we've incorporated based on what we've heard from the neighbors and the local residents. I'm going to hand it over to Scott to walk through the site and some of those design elements.
Okay, good evening, Scott. My name is Haskell. So we'll walk through the site and some of the design elements tonight. Starting at the northwest corner, letter A here is just the extension of our originally did not have, but it's since been incorporated. Letter B is also, letter B is a berm as well with a 14-foot sound wall on top. Letter C is the truck parking and finished goods. Letter D is the extension of the berm and sound wall to protect the neighbors to the east. Letter F is a small berm with a sound wall on top as well. G is the auto parking for the employees, and letter E is the stormwater ponds that have been sized So next we have a cross-section showing the residential zone area on the right-hand side. 50 feet west of that will be the 14-foot wall. This will be constructed on top of the 6-foot berm. Going west of that, or left of that, excuse me, is a drainage swale. Continuing left is a 14-foot tall light pole. This light pole will actually be shorter than, 16-foot light pole, which will actually be shorter than the top of the wall of the berm at 20 foot in total height. So we did an acoustical analysis of the site. We wanted to measure the current acoustic levels on site and then the post-construction sound levels. With our initial design, we thought that we would use a 6 to 8 foot high sound wall. But upon completion of the acoustic study, it was determined that a 14-foot sound wall would be required, which is what's been provided. So this is just a picture here showing the orange line that you see here, the limits of a sound wall. So again, this wall will be 14 feet in height on top of the 6-foot berm. It will have sound deadening, acoustic deadening properties with the shape of the, excuse me. So this will have a stone facade and will blend in with the surroundings. So we went out and to 3 of the properties that were gracious enough to let us go on site and actually take pictures of their property. So we took these pictures during the summer condition, and we were subsequently asked, well, what happens in the winter condition when everything is dead? So we generated a couple of graphics to show, in the summer condition, you can see some of the silos here, and in the winter condition, you can see a few more of those as well. So same story here, summer condition at the bottom, and then in the winter condition, you can see some of the ASRS in the background.
At both of our,
And again here, summer condition with the winter condition in the back and the ASRS is visible. So the next study we conducted was a photometric study to determine the light level effects throughout the site. So on the east side of the site here, we have the 12-foot pole on a 4-foot base for 16-foot height. Coming in at the auto drive, we have 4-foot high bollard lights to keep light from intruding to the neighbors to the north. And then in the finished good area, the trucks, we do have 24-foot high poles, and this is due to the fact that the truck trailers are 13.5 feet in height, so we need to provide light around those trucks. So the traffic study was conducted. This traffic study included the addition of the Bolter Park extension here. Subsequently, we went back and amended the study to include Basket Road with the addition of the Bolter extension as well as the right-hand turn lane leaving Basket. It was found that there was no significant adverse impacts to the current level of service. And finally, we looked at stormwater management. So we do have a 2-part treatment system for water quality and quantity. Water will enter into dry swales and storm sewer system. From there, it's conveyed to the 2 wet ponds to the north. There was some concern with flooding on the northwest portion. This was expressed by the neighbors off of Basket Road, and we have decreased those discharge rates to those neighbors. I'll turn it over to Marie.
Thanks, Scott. So what I'm going to go over is actually the schedule for the proposed fill-in excavation that we intend to mobilize on the site in mid-October. Just kind of showing that our intent is to make sure that we are mitigating all storm runoff first prior to doing any construction work. So we first protect the wetlands, which by law you're not allowed to touch. And then we put in the silt fences and start to clear and grub for the sediment basins, which will control the stormwater on site. From there, we then can finish clearing and grubbing the site. There will be rock blasting that will occur. We intend to start that in December as we clear the site and get ready for mass and then fine grading into March and hopefully finish by the end of March, pending winter conditions, which, may happen in this area. So really excited to share that schedule with you and happy to elaborate. We've got a meeting set with Josh and Paul and Pat in the next couple of weeks to kind of go through that in more detail. So in summary, as Dave mentioned, we've really been through quite a lot with this town and appreciate all of the concern for the health, safety, and welfare of the Webster community, and have modified our design to ensure that there is no impact to the community with this project. We've reviewed the engineer's estimate for the fill and excavation at $11.3 million. And the goal of that bond is to ensure that we're going to actually do proper fill and excavation as we're designing the site. And as the leader of the project, we feel pretty confident that we're going to make sure that we leave it in good hands. And the excavation, as we're starting with the stormwater, will have no adverse effects to the neighbors that we're trying to listen to and be friendly around.
So we gave you the short overview of some of the design elements. Tonight we're here requesting for an industrial use permit for dairy processing, for approval of the proposed engineer estimate in the amount of 11.3 surety bond for the site grading work, and to authorize the issuance of the excavation and fill permit. We also want to sincerely, we want to recognize the town board, each of the town boards and the staff for all the time and dedication that this town's put towards our project. We're truly appreciative of it, and we've got a stronger project because of all the collaboration and feedback from the town along the way.
Well, and that's the end of the presentation. I just didn't want to jump ahead. I will say, Dave, along your last lines, right back at you, because the last 5 months, this has been pretty robust. The code team's been great. And I was telling Dave and Kevin and Tom out in the crowd today, we were in a meeting with Patty, that I mentioned to a couple of developers this week in some meetings we had about proposed things they wanted to bring to the planning board or potentially the zoning board. And I said, you could learn a lesson from what Coke did. Why don't you reach out to the affected neighbors on what you're proposing and get in front of it and talk to them and see what their concerns would be. The way you did that, I thought, was really a class move. I know on May 30th, when you met with the neighbors, I was there at the Arboretum. It was a little tough, but you came back 2 months later and you said, we listened to what you said, and this is what we are going to do to address those things. Very nicely done. So.
Thank you.
Well, with that being said, we have 2 resolutions here, and we have them on the agenda somewhat in reverse order, sequentially of how they should be done. So number 5 is the resolution to consider an industrial use permit for the Fairlight project at the eastern terminus of T-Wart Road. Before I make a motion on this, do the board members have any questions, concerns, anything that they saw, videos coming out of the planning board, zoning board, anything along the ways?
No, I just had a comment based on your presentation, and I just wanted to thank you, as Tom had acknowledged, for meeting with the neighbors, and as your presentation showed, you heeded and took action as to their concerns. And I greatly appreciate your company doing that.
Josh, do you think we could build into the code that that there's gonna have to be, before they come to the planning board, they gotta go meet with the neighbors? Or is that a non-starter? Not Coke, they did it, I'm talking about other, we can dream. Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I appreciate the recap. It's a good reminder of how far we've come.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion to for an industrial use permit for the Fairlife project at the eastern terminus of Tibor Road.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman McCollum? Aye. Councilman Allen?
Aye.
Okay, and the next one, which is a fill grading excavation permit for Fairlife, that one, I have a resolution here, before I read it, first of all, it was drafted by several people, I would say. I think we took a lot from Tom Walsh. Is he here? Is he behind? He's behind the beam, right? So I want to thank you. I always appreciate someone taking a white piece of paper and starting with a draft. There's a skill to that. They have to be open to the fact that it'll get edited. Charlie, I knew you took some things at this. Josh, Pat, we just wanted to make sure that we had this resolution, especially as we do it from a memorialization, that it's unequivocal in its interpretation because it's a pretty large project, to say the least. Marie, as you had said, just the fact that it's almost a $12 million surety bond on the moving of the dirt, for lack of better terms. And how many yards did it say?
The actual cut fill is listed, the estimate is over 200,000 cubic yards.
I wish,
And
you
the
know, I love my
extraordinary is
numbers.
100 acres. It's
Yeah, I love my numbers. I know we've done fill permits here at the board before. And Bill, you might have.
Anything this big?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it is, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. We've said it all along. This is a very large project and probably we don't have a precedent. Just as a little background for the board before I pose this, and I think you had it in the presentation, the tentative closing date on the real estate where Hope or Fairlife is taking title, I think is October 18th. And you'll hear in this resolution as I make it that one of the key parts to this is that, obviously it's like buying a house. I know that when I bought my house years ago, if I closed on September 30th, it's funny that sellers didn't let my family move in on September 20th, 10 days beforehand. Same logic here. They will be entitled, that closing will occur, title will transfer to Coke and Fairlife, and then they can start doing their fun with Tonka trucks and whatever with the dirt. Is that correct, Marie?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Okay. Know in there that the typical engineer's estimate for site work or whatever, this one in the presentation identified the earthwork, moving the dirt and all that. Over the next couple months, I think you'll come back and finish, for lack of better terms, the engineer's estimate of the other site work, roads, pipe infrastructure, retention, all that usually goes into your standard. And I know in the resolution, in fact, Tom Walsh, when he drafted it, it looks like that's a $40 to $50 million estimate, and we won't hold you to that because it's an estimate. I think that's what it says, Tom.
Yeah, it's all inclusive, so the 11
Is in
a
there,
portion
yes.
of
And
that.
right, it's not, good point, Marie. And once again, unequivocal in its interpretation is very important. And Bill, I'll look at you again. How many engineers' estimates of site work and all that, Bill, have you seen at $40 to $50 million?
None in all the years I've worked.
Okay. And he's worked a lot of years.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, I'm gonna read this resolution. And just like I said, make sure I'm reading the right one. And I want to make sure from Josh that what you have on the resolution, does it include the conditions are embodied in it, or is that the separate page that you had here?
No, the conditions are incorporated into it.
Well, that is wonderful. I mean, showing that we work work right up until about 20 minutes before board meeting, right? Okay. I am gonna make a motion, the Webster Town Board, granting, no, that's not it. And that's the problem working right up. Where is this? Here it is. This is it. Okay, but I caught myself before. How about the final version of this? Make this motion, the town board of the town of Webster granting applicant Fairlife LLC's request for an excavation and fill permit. At a regular meeting of the town board of the town of Webster, Monroe County, New York, held at the town board meeting room, 1002 Ridge Road, in the town of Webster, New York, on the 5th day of October, 2020, 5th day of October 2023 at 7:30 p.m. With the full board in attendance, along with town attorney Charlie Canesi. The following is being offered as a motion. Whereas the applicant has applied for an excavation and fill permit pursuant Webster Code Section 159.3 and Webster Code Section 2014, which application has received a favorable report from the town engineer. The proposed excavation and filling will not have an adverse effect on drainage at adjoining properties, or requires a resolution of the town board to direct and authorize the town clerk to issue said excavation and fill permit. And whereas pursuant to Webster Town Code Section 201-4, subchapter D, the town board finds that 1, the proposed filling will not interfere with proper drainage of the subject property and surrounding lands and conforms to the drainage laws of the town of Webster and County of Monroe. 2, the proposed filling will not adversely affect the use and enjoyment of abutting properties, and the proposed grades are consistent with the development and use of properties in the general area. 3, the proposed filling will be accomplished in such a manner as to not create any undue traffic hazard at any public highway or endanger the lives or property of the neighboring property owners. 4, the material used in such filling will be suitable for any proposed use of the land and will not be dangerous, obnoxious, or offensive to neighboring residents and properties. 5, the proposed fill is not within the right-of-way of any town, county, or state street or roadway. And finally, 6, the proposal is reasonable and necessary, will not endanger the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the town of Webster, and will not cause unreasonable, uncontrolled, or unnecessary damage to the natural resources of the state, including soil, forest, water, fish, and aquatic resources. And whereas the applicant has provided a preliminary estimate of $40 to $50 million for the cost to implement its civil work at the premises, including the cost of work to perform under the excavation and fill permit. And whereas the applicant has provided an engineer's estimate of $11,300,000 for the cost of the work to be performed under the excavation and fill permit. And whereas the applicant has proposed and the finance director and town attorney have no objection to the bonding letter of credit requirements of the Webster Town Code, Section 159-4, Webster Town Code, Section 204-4, Subchapter F, and Webster Town Code, Section 269-4, for the civil work, including the excavation and fill permit, being met by 2 separate surety bonds issued to the town of Webster, with the surety bond for the work to be performed under the excavation and fill permit. The applicant proposes to be left in place until all the work under the excavation and fill permit has been completed to the satisfaction of the highway superintendent. Now, therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves, pursuant to Webster Town Code Section 159.6 and Webster Town Code Section 201-4, Subchapter F, a surety bond as to form, duration, manner of execution, and sufficiency of the surety for the grading work under the excavation and fill permit to be implemented by the applicant at the premises. Resolved that the town board hereby authorizes, pursuant to Webster Town Code Section 159-4 and Webster Town Code Section 201-4, Subchapter D, the town clerk of the town of Webster to issue an excavation and fill permit to the applicant after the surety bond has been filed with said town clerk upon the following conditions subsequent. 1, no excavation or filling of the premises shall occur until this excavation and fill permit, under this excavation and fill permit, until applicant has taken title to the real property involved and provided proof of such to the town. 2, precautions must be taken by applicant to prevent material from falling upon Tibor Road, Basket Road, or any street or right-of-way, or undermining the same of any of them, particularly if excavation occurs within 10 feet of any of them. 3, no refuse, garbage, rubbish, offal, is that how you pronounce it? O-F-F-A-L? It's a great word. Or other deleterious or unwholesome material may be used as fill at or otherwise be dumped or deposited at the premises or on streets or highways or in any of the streams, tributaries, lakes, bays, or waterways within the town of Webster. 4, water, dust, preventative, or similar materials shall be used and applied to prevent dust and sand from flying or being carried from said premises during and on the completion of said excavation and filling. 5, the premises shall be graded to a level which shall provide free runoff of surface water at all places. 6, at least 4 inches of topsoil will be replaced upon the areas of the premises from which topsoil is removed, which will not be covered by a building structure, road, sidewalk, or other hardscape. And there shall be reseeding with a permanent pasture mixture or other fast-growing surface vegetation, and that such reseeding shall continue until growth can be reestablished. 7, fill may only be brought to the premises for the purpose of filling to establish grades per the plans submitted with the application for the excavation and fill permit. 8, no filling shall occur in any navigable waters of the state of New York or United States unless a letter of non-jurisdiction approval or permit therefore has been issued by the appropriate federal or state agency. 9, all material dumped must be leveled off as soon as practicable after being deposited. 10, the applicant shall provide the building division with a map showing where the land has been filled to a depth greater than 5 feet. 11, all fees associated with the excavation and fill work are to be paid in full prior to any construction activity occurring. 12, staging of the materials that are not related to excavation and fill work is not permitted. 13, the excavation and fill plan shall be signed by town staff to indicate the approval from the town. 14, the engineer's estimate and final amount of surety bond is subject to review and approved by town staff. 15, the surety bond must be in place and filed with the town prior to any excavation and fill activity commencing. 16, the stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, will need to be approved by the town and the MS4 acceptance form signed. 17, a notice of intent, NOI, needs to be filed with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the New York State DEC. 18, the New York State DEC acknowledges letter permit will need to be provided to the town prior to any excavation and fill activities. 19, the 5-acre waiver request will need to be reviewed and approved by the town prior to grading activities and disturbances exceeding 5 acres. 20, the subdivision plat will need to be executed and filed with proof of such provided to the town prior to any construction activity. And finally, 21, a pre-construction meeting and site walk will be held with the applicant and contractor prior to any construction activity. That is my motion.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Contaldi? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood? Aye.
Whew, that's a lot of reading.
A lot of conditions.
It is, but like we said, in layman terms, we want to keep the ball moving. and the pre-construction meeting for really the rest of it will be forthcoming. I know you're trying to figure out a date for that, but there's a lot of things.
Yeah, we have a pre-construction meeting for the fill and excavation on the 13th of October, and then once we have all the Mylars signed and are ready, we will schedule the subsequent one for the adjustment of use permit.
That's great. Yeah. So that's where, I mean, just want to get them going. All right. Wow. That's something. Tonight, I think, was the press release
That's right.
saying you intend to come to Webster, and it is October 5th. That's less than 5 months. And as Dave, you and I have talked, I mean, you love Georgia. You got an education in New York Seeker and things, huh?
Absolutely.
Wow. It's a unique state, I guess. All righty. Moving on. Congratulations. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I got too many papers flying around here, Dolly. Make sure I got the right versions. The next three are resolutions that. Yeah, no, I got those. I'm just trying to find my. Last week, I think Matt Chatfield and I'm trying to think of the presentation on 600 page. The old furniture service. Yeah, Melissa from Shaw. But we did a workshop presentation that kind of gave some timelines of what we've been trying to do the last, specifically 3 years, but really the last 20 plus years history on 600 Bridge, the old furniture strippers, and the whole Webster Hamlet for that sake. And, pretty big milestone event last Tuesday the 26th that was described last Thursday the 28th, workshop that I don't know, for the 16th year in a row, Matt, or 17th year in a row, the property went to Monroe County Real Estate Tax Foreclosure Auction, and nobody bought it. The previous years on that, the county has decided to not take title and just allow the private owner to continue to have it. And we just went through that same Groundhog's Day for every year since. Difference being is that we had last year worked with the county. Charlie, I know on the legal side, we worked with them. They applied to a Supreme Court judge to get temporary control. And once they got temporary control, the county that is, that gave us the ability to go in and do some phase 2 environmental testing. That phase 2 environmental testing was done by Day Engineering. We actually paid for it with ARPA money that the town had. Approximately $35,000, I think, Paul?
Correct.
Okay. In April of this year at the Spry Cafetorium, there was a presentation done, a workshop by Matt Chatfield from WIDA, Josh Artuzo, and also Mary Harrington, our town engineer, that really attempted to give a layman term explanation to 400 pages of a phase 2 report that was way above most of our pay levels and understanding. I think after we saw what at least that phase 2 testing reflected on the site, one thing we knew is there needs to be more testing. But we just didn't have the bandwidth. First of all, we didn't have the time under the temporary stay, if you want to call it, with the county to do that. And even if we did, we would have had to gone in and done some major demolition of the building. We don't have the right to do that. But I think it also made the county of Monroe see that, well, the contamination maybe is not as bad as they thought. And they said, you know, maybe instead of us, you know, continually not getting paid taxes on this and reimbursing the town and the school district, would the town ever consider, you know, buying this property from us after the next real estate foreclosure auction for $1? And It's funny, we talked about it in certain board meetings and whatever, and I always said, Bill, is that a good deal for us? Is $1 a good deal for us? Hard to say. Is a white elephant a good gift to give somebody, right? Is that from Latin days? So really, we went down the path, we hired Knopf Shaw and Alan Knopf and Melissa Valley, who's done really phenomenal work for us. They're environmental specialists. They somewhat helped the town within that engagement figure out for us, or at least quantify, whether it is a good deal. And the way we've done that is, I think we're about to enter into some type of agreement with the DEC, where the DEC understands the situation and will not sue, for lack of better terms, Charlie. I think that would be one way to put it. And you showed last week, this is a long preface to these, but you showed last week a very tight time frame that we would have to propose this to the county legislature. They would need to look at it on October 10th, on Tuesday at their legislature meeting. And then if everything went as planned, they would approve it at their Tuesday, November 14th county leg meeting. And before Thanksgiving, the town might be the proud owners for $1 of 600 Ridge Road. So we presented that, and tonight there are 3 resolutions that if that plan is something the town board still wants to go down the path on, these 3 resolutions directly relate to that. And I want to hit on, I'm not sure if the sequence of these really mean anything as far as which one would be done first, but I'm glad that the, well, no, I'm gonna use the day engineering number 7 first, because if there's any questions for the board on this, I think that either Josh or Matt are gonna have to answer this, because we don't, or maybe Charlie, you can too, in place of Melissa Valley or whatever, but this number 7 is about the board authorizing me to sign an agreement with Day Engineering for the purpose of conducting the phase 1. We do have a proposal from Day. I think it's $2,550. I hope the town board has all gotten that and seen that. I'm not deaf or blind to the fact that the town is spending money in this venture. Of these 3 resolutions we're going to go over tonight, this is the one where there is money going to be spent by the town. The other 2, there's not. The phase 1 by Day, number 1, they did the stuff back, a year ago, and they were the most obvious to go and get the bid from because they have such background on this. This is why I think I was very pleasantly surprised at the price, because they were able to do a lot of the framework of a phase 1. But I want to make sure, because the phase 1, the way it was explained to me, Matt and Josh, is that now they'll get a little bit more robust, not only on the history of 600 Ridge Road's parcel, which is only a 0.2 acre parcel, but also maybe some of the surrounding areas, because there is a feeling that there was in the water tables from the phase 2 testing some petroleum in there, and petroleum down 20 feet in the water, that's not what you would find from a furniture stripper's operation. And the rumor has it that there was a gas station or something that happened at the neighboring property or properties back many years ago, and there might be an old tank underneath there that might be leaching out its fuel or whatever and coming onto the site. The way I understand it, a more robust phase 1 might identify that. Is that how you understand it, Josh?
That's correct, yes.
All right. So I wanted the board to be aware of that. I'm really kind of anxious to know where that petroleum is coming from, myself. So, and I think it also, within this sequence with the county, and also taking title, and then subsequently applying for an EPA grant, the phase 1 has to be done. So if we want to go down this path, the phase 1 has to be done. Is that a safe statement? Yes. So does the town board have any questions or comments before I read this resolution?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion, I can't read it.
But before it's read, I've got a question I think for Councilman Cahill. You received a response regarding concerns.
Yes, I did. Yes, I'm fine.
You may, I don't know, it's up to you if you want to mention it.
I had some concerns and she addressed it via email, and I thanked her for her response. Okay, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions? And I would move to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Day Engineering for the purpose of conducting a Phase 1 environmental site assessment of 600 Ridge Road with the agreed upon sum of $2,550.
Second.
Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Clary?
Aye. Bill, you'll be happy to know I don't have any long preamble on the next two. I just wondered if the town board members had any questions on those related to seeker and or to the letter of intent.
I do not.
All right, I make a motion for the Webster Board's intent to declare lead agency status and perform a coordinated seeker review on the acquisition of 600 Ridge Road, the former Webster Furniture Strippers, for the purpose of environmental testing and redevelopment.
Second.
Supervisor Clary?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn? Aye.
I can't read this one.
No. I would move to authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of intent for the town of Webster to accept a transfer of real property located at 600 Ridge Road from Monroe County.
Second. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn? Aye. Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Clary?
Aye. Okay, next up is one that I can't read because it's an authorization to have me sign a contract, but this is a combination of really probably about 14 months of think tanking at the beginning, Patty, and right through now about how does the town become more proactive at identifying grant opportunities and then applying for them, potentially, if we are blessed enough to get awarded them, how to manage them. This town board has seen some different firms come in and present on how they would do those things. Most recently, Gene O'Connell Associates, Rick Mancuso and Gene O'Connell came in, I think, about a month and a half ago and presented how they would do this project. They gave the board what is a relatively simple 4-page proposal contract. It's a 2-year contract. It is, I think, $3,900 a month, Paul?
$3,900, Tom.
Yeah.
And,
So,
$85 an hour if we want them to do additional work such as managing the phones.
right. And when we pass this around to the board members, we said, if you do have any questions on this, Gene will answer them directly. It didn't seem as if the board members had any, and I think it might have been because, Paul, you chimed in early in that process that you noted that there's a cancellation. Maybe 30 days?
10 days.
10 days.
Yes, we're 10 days notice.
So, here's the reality of the situation. And I said it, I think, at the department head meeting, the monthly department head meeting on this past Tuesday. If the board passes this resolution, in 2 years, if we don't cancel this agreement, the one thing I can assure you is that the town would have paid about $95,000 over 2 years. We're doing the math at $3,900 a month times 24 months. That's a guarantee. Now, how many grant awards we get because of the efforts of Gene O'Connell and her staff, I wanted the town board department heads to know that if they think that they can sit back and do nothing and let Gino Connell and her staff do everything, we are gonna be snookered. We are gonna get nothing. This has to be a team effort. I think that Gene and Rick Mancuso and 3 of their associates are coming into town next week, Paul? Or is it the week of the 16th?
It's the 16th, that's a week from Monday.
Yep, and they are, and this is tentative because this contract and motion would have to be approved. Tentative plan is they are coming into town to basically meet one-on-one or one department head and 5 then to talk to the department head and start the process of getting the department head's vision for what does your department need in the next 5 years. Think outside the box. Just because you've been constrained by annual budgets and you know, your mindset might be, there's no way I'll ever get this. Well, tell us what you would love. Dolly, going paperless, right? Is that gonna happen in our budget? Probably not. But are there grant opportunities out there from whatever that could assist us going from having the thousands of papers we have up there at Town Hall to being more of a digital? It's possible. We don't know what we don't know. And it's imperative, and I said to the town department heads, you know I've said, you are the CEO of your department. You need to act like the CEO in your interaction with Gino O'Connell and Associates. Because the effort you put into this is going to have direct effect on 2 years if we're sitting back here saying, well, guess what? The town spent $95,000 over the last 24 months and we got nothing. Or we got $11 million in grants. And as you said, Paul, this fee monthly, they'll identify them. They're keeping track of grants for 19 different type of things. Economic development, infrastructure, everything. Entertainment, you name it, right? They'll identify them, they'll write the grant. If we decide, they'll do that all under this contract. If Paul and Josh or whoever, we all say, wow, this award is got a real heavy lift on managing it. And I think Paul and Josh probably could speak to this the best. Some grant awards are laydowns. You just send in a memo to the agency and you get the check. Others, we may not have the bandwidth to manage it. So it's nice that they have that side of the business, that if we decide to utilize them, and that would be a team decision on the town side, at $85 an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, 85, there's a cap of 17,000, and at that point you kind of renegotiate.
Right. We have the ability to at least discern whether we want to hire them at time and materials, $85 an hour to help manage grants. I think that's the best way I can explain this. Town board, any questions, comments, concerns? Can't read it.
I don't think that, as you said, that our department heads are not going to be able to sit back and watch Jean and her associates do their work, because with her presentation to us, I got the impression that Jean is a bit of a taskmaster when she sets her mind to it, and I'm sure she'll be looking at our department heads to do all they can to help support a healthy grant application.
Well, you know, Jean and you know, you saw her here and whatever, and she was the one who said, I want to come in and do face-to-face in these first meetings, and I want to roll in 4 or 5 of my people. She has a purpose for that. She wants to show that they're taking it serious, so hopefully the department heads do too. So, anyway.
I would move that we enter into a contract with J. O'Connell and Associates, Inc., and have the supervisor sign said contract. Second.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilman Kano.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Yes, but I'm going to say, I, with Bill Abbott, I get to do this finally, with just an addition onto that, that is a 2-year, $3,900 a month, and with a 10-day cancellation. Is that, can we put that in there?
Yeah.
All right. So that's my eye. Patty, you got the last one, right?
I would move that we declare the following items for recycling from the sewer department: a Blade duplex panel, asset tag 002127, rebuilt, I think this is probably hydromatic pump,
Yes.
asset tag 992127, and a metal detector with no tag number.
Councilwoman Daley?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye, and
I just want to say that I had the opportunity to go down to the sewer department the other day. Wow, demolition has begun.
oh, sorry. I just want to make sure I do this correctly. That completes the formal agenda tonight. I am making a motion to go into executive session under New York State Public Officers Law, Section 105. Let's see. And F. Okay, thank you, Charlie. And I would like to have in attendance the town board members, the finance director, the town attorney, and Russ Siskin from North Onondaga Volunteer Ambulance. And I will let you know when you come out. Good job.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.